Hello everybody and welcome back. Anyway, I'm going to show you today how to make a pair of leggings out of an extra large t-shirt. Now I bought this t-shirt extra large on purpose, brand new t-shirt. Of course I can't fit it, but I bought this for the sole purpose of making leggings out of this fabric. I actually, if you live in or around Michigan, wherever you have a Meyer, I had a buy one get two free on a shirt. So I said, wouldn't it be nice if I just took the shirts and made them into leggings for autumn? So that's what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna take our shirt and just lay it flat. And how I got the pattern for the leggings, and this is actually cut short enough to be capris for her because summer's coming, but I just simply took a pair of leggings and I cut them at the seam. I cut the entire leg, opened it up, traced it out, and I got my pattern. So I'm just going to lay your pattern on top of the shirt like so. Then you're just going to cut around, and then you have two pieces, so you only have to cut once. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this down just to show you what I did. And I already started making leggings out of this pattern, and if you need me to create a pattern for you, just simply ask and I will do it. I know it can be difficult for some people. I'm not saying sewing is easy. It's really not all that. It's not difficult, but it can be difficult. So I am willing to do anything for you as long as you just ask me nicely. Just joking, but yeah, if you need me to create a pattern for you, or if you're interested in having a legging pattern and you want to purchase that from me, just simply go ahead and ask. I will have a legging pattern up later on this summer, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I'm sorry, I cut this way below where I wanted to cut it. Pin it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pinning this, and then we'll cut out together, and then we'll start sewing everything together. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I'm just going to cut around the pattern. And you don't really have to give a seam allowance, because when you when you create your pattern from a previous pair of leggings already, you have that seam. So unless you just want a little bit more of a seam, you don't really have to worry about it for this project. And the great thing about the leftovers of this shirt, you can make a headband out of it. So she'll have a matching headband for her leggings. Or even if you're making it for yourself, it doesn't matter. You can use the same process for an adult that you would use for a child. Now for the waist, what I'm going to do is cut up maybe about 1/2 inch, just so when I fold it over, I have that extra inch for the waist, and it's not taking away from the length of the capris or the leggings. Okay, so now that we have our leggings cut out, just going to take your pattern piece off. And this is a really quick project, as I mentioned previously, and you could pop out a ton of these in no time. So I did take the side panel of the shirt and cut it out. Cut it so that I have one side that already has the seam, and then I'm going to sew this other side together and then make a headband. So it'll be like a thick headband. She can roll it over, do whatever she wants. So you have your two pieces here. So now what you're going to do is have right sides facing. That way you can sew it together. And I know it may look a little weird to you right now, but trust me, it'll all come together. So I like to line everything up at the point. Just makes it easier for me doing it this way. And the best part of all, you don't have to create a hem for the bottom because it's already done from the shirt. Now I do have a 3/4 inch knit elastic, which is what I normally like to use for her leggings and shorts. It's really stretchy. Now this type of elastic does roll. If you want to use a different type of elastic that doesn't roll, you can just, if you can't find it in the sewing section of your store, or the craft store or sewing store, just ask them for some non-roll elastic, which works perfectly. And I usually use the non-roll elastic when I'm making tutus or something like that. So I have this lined up, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin. I'm going to sew. And because this is a semi-stretchy fabric, it's cotton, it's like a cotton knit fabric, you want to either use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine or you want to use an overcast stitch. If you don't have the overcast stitch, go ahead and use the zigzag stitch. That way, when the child puts on the garment, it's not like super stiff. With stretchy fabrics, knits, cottons, lycras, spandex, you always want to use a fabric a stitch that's going to stretch along with your fabric. If you use a straight stitch, it's going to be really stiff and it's going to be really hard to get that garment on and still keep that stretch. I just have this pin along the side, so we're just going to sew all the way down to the point here, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And once we do that, I'll show you your next step. So now we are ready to start sewing. So for me, I'm going to put my sewing machine on the zigzag stitch. That way I still have that stretch. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. And I'm using a white thread because it will match this fabric. I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam, and you can find that on your sewing machine here by these numbers on the ruler that sits on your sewing machine. And sometimes with this fabric it can get a little stuck. A fix to that would be to put a piece of tape underneath the foot. I'm sorry. So we're just going to go ahead and take this all the way down. And you don't want to push it or yank it. Just let it go ahead through by itself. Just kind of guide it through. Taking your pins out as you go. And when you get to the curve, just kind of turn the fabric the way you want it to go or need it to go. So we're coming up to the little point here, and we're going to stop right there. I'm going to have to turn mine just a tad. And I'm going to go ahead and back stitch. Another little trick you can use when working with knit or satin or chiffon lace fabric is to put a piece of tissue paper. Just pin it as you're pinning along and put the tissue paper and it'll slide right through, no problems. And you just rip that off when you're done and it doesn't even stick into your seam. So now that you have those two sides sewn together, what you're going to do now is open it up, and now you can see the leggings or capris forming. So you're just going to pin this together so that you can sew this part, and then we'll get started with the waistband. So just go ahead and pin all the way around, and you're going to use that same stitch all the way around and sew the legs together. We're going to stay with that same stitch, which I'm using a zigzag, or you can use an overcast stitch. And we're just going to go all the way around and sew the legs together. Remember to back stitch. tip I like to give, and I probably have mentioned this in one of my previous videos for leggings, I like to give a little bit more security around the crotch area, just because kids play so much and they're so rough, and that area can give a little bit more weight than the legs and the waist. So I go over it a few times just to give more of a stitch, a little bit more security. But you find what works for you. I'm just a guide to help you. You find what works best for you, and eventually you'll get into a groove of things, and you'll learn what works best and what's easiest for you. The more you practice, the better you'll get. We're done with that part. So now that we have got the pants together, what I want to show you is the elastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my elastic right on here. I'm not going to pin it. If you need to pin it, go ahead. What you're going to do is slightly pull it. You're not going to pull the fabric. You're just going to pull the elastic. If you don't know how to do this, practice. Take some scrap fabric or some fabric you really don't care about and practice doing it. That way you don't mess up the good garment that you're trying to make. I've done this several times, and over the years I perfected my skill on this, so I know how to do it to my liking and the way I know it's going to fit on my daughter. So what you're going to do is keep with the same stitch, zigzag or overcast. Today I'm using zigzag. You're just going to put this up underneath your foot. And I know you're thinking, oh, well, it doesn't look like a waist. Just give us a minute and I'll show you how it's gonna look. And I always like starting my elastic at the seam. I don't know why, it's just what I do. And I like to put mine over the lip of my sewing machine. I like to call it a lip. I'm pretty sure it has a better name. So before I go and work my way around, I'm going to start my stitch so I can secure it in place without first pulling it. So now I'm going to get started, and I'm going to hold my fabric while I pull on the elastic just slightly around the waistband. And it can be tricky, so if you don't know how to do this, please practice first. And I'm going to attempt to do my stitch slightly in the middle of my of the elastic. Now if you need to pull through on the other side just to get it through, go ahead and do that. But please don't pull the fabric along with the elastic, because it'll be too wide and too stretchy, because the fabric I'm using is already stretchy. And like I said, you don't want to yank on it, because then the waistband will be too singed together. So let's just go ahead. And I like to do this part slowly, just so I get it done right. I notice if I do it too fast, then something gets messed up, and then I'm frustrated later on. So just cut that piece off and make sure you don't cut the thread. And you can save that elastic for another project. So as you can see, we have our little waist here. And because I used a zigzag stitch, no tight seam. So now what you're going to do is just hold this down, and you're going to sew another seam going around. That way your waistband is down. Isn't that simple? Nice, simple trick, and you don't have to worry about making a casing for your waistband. Simple, easy. And if you're going to put one of your labels on, you'll probably want to do that now, or you can do it at the end. I usually like waiting until the end to put my labels on, just so I have everything in place when I put the label on. If it works better for you to do it before you finish your waistband, then go ahead and do it however it's more comfortable for you. So I like to make sure my waistband is tight up at the top, and you can always cut off any excess at the bottom of your waistband when you're done. So let's just go ahead and do another stitch around. Yes, you still want a back stitch. You can just fold this under actually if you want, or you can just cut it off. I think I'm going to cut mine off. And the good thing about this fabric is it doesn't fray because it's a cotton knit. Remember to give your elastic just a little tug around when you're going around. Not too much, just enough. Straighten things as you need to. I'm going to give you a little tip about why I always start at the seam when I start my stitching. You see here where you have all the little bulk stitches from where you started and you back stitch and all of that, and as you go around you see that it's a lot neater. I like to start at the back part doing that because I can put my label right here and you won't even see that, and so it'll look more professional. Like I said, you can just cut off the excess fabric if you have any around the waistband, or you can just leave it, whatever you want to do. So let's turn our little capri pants here right side out. And I don't know if you're going to make leggings or you're going to make capri pants. You can use the same process to make a pair of shorts for your child. So here we go. We are all set. Simple, easy, you know, you're not taking a lot of time. This is a really quick project. So like I said, if you're going out and you just need some quick leggings to go under a dress or a skirt for your child, your grandchild, whoever you're sewing for, you can make these in no time. And they're really cute, really simple to make, really easy. It's a faster process than you would do if you were making it with just standalone fabric, because for the shirt you already have that bottom seam, so you don't have to worry about it. The seam is already there. And using, like I said, the zigzag stitch or the overcast stitch gives us still that stretch that we need on our cotton and knit fabrics. So here we go. They're really cute, and I really love this color, and she'll love it too. And best of all, her dad's favorite color is blue. So when I sew, I always try to use coordinating thread, just because it looks better to me. You know, I don't know what you would like to do, but if you're a beginner, you want to always start off simple. You don't want to try to rush yourself or try to do projects that are way too advanced for you. I always say, as a rule of thumb, when you're starting out, or even if you're intermediate or advanced, save your scraps, because scraps come in handy. When I'm starting off and I'm making my own patterns, or someone asks me to do a project that maybe I haven't done before or I've only done once, I take my scrap fabric, I cut out a miniature version of it, I sew it, see how it looks. If it doesn't look right, I still have scrap fabric, so I can do it over again before I make the full size version of it, and that works perfectly for me. That came in real handy when I made the dress for my niece's prom, and I'll put the picture in so you can see what that looks like. As always, if there's something you want me to if you want me to sew for you, something you want to see, something that you may not understand and you want me to explain it to you, please ask me. Don't feel like, you know, embarrassed to ask questions, because it's better to ask questions than to try to do it and mess up. I was that person a long time ago. Now I educate myself over and over. If I forget something or if something just isn't working, I educate myself and then I improve on what I messed up on. So that's just one rule of thumb. So as always, I am happy to do your projects, so please let me know. I do have a list of projects and requests from people that I'll be working on in the next few weeks. So they'll be seeing those projects as well as you, and hopefully whatever I make comes in handy for you. There's always a simpler way to do something. I live by that with everything in my life. So please ask me. I'm here to help. That's why I started this channel, to help people like me who need the help. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All of that is in the description. You can find that. Again, if you are looking for me on Twitter, my name is mama_07. I am not Nika Womack on Twitter. I still have restrictions on my Facebook, so if you want me to add you on Facebook, you'll just have to wait for me to approve that request. I'm always checking daily, so I will approve you as those requests come along, and I try my best to answer any comments as soon as they're given. Sometimes it'll take me a day or 2 days. With Autumn's birthday being Thursday, it may take me a little bit of time, but I will definitely get back to you in that week and let you know what you need to know. So, as always, I will see you next time. Bye.